Tom.
You didn't have a Tom Mooney here.
Huh? And a Tom,
That's the guy in Forest.
that's the guy, there was a treasurer down there. Too, that flew down over
And what year was he elected to be a district officer?
He was a treasurer.
He was a
treasurer.
Yeah,
He was
when?
elected in 21.
Tom Mooney was the name of the district treasurer elected in 1921,
Right.
who ran off with the funds?
No,
What'd you say?
he don't.
No.
He's the guy I was talking about got killed here, you know. I mean,
Oh, was he a good officer, or did he become a
Far as
company?
I know, yes.
When did he get killed? How long ago?
Well, I don't know what.
well, it was just a few years back here. He was working at that mine,
Fourth
State
He was
Mine.
fire boss.
He was
Fire
fire
boss
boss.
inside
yeah.
of mine.
Has he got a family still around here?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, he bound to have some.
Now, Frank Kinney, he was no good because he took opposite side, but Mr. Lewis, to say no backward.
Yeah.
You don't want to.
Now, what was that cowboy's name? He worked at the Wyatt Mines. They elected him district president. That there cowboy, he'd run around with a great big hat on and 238 strapped on.
When was that, Mr. Hess, this
That was
cowboy?
You know, out there, Jim, after that, he worked in the mine down in Dakota, they call him. Jim
Oh, that was the McComas, what you talking
Jim
about.
McComas.
That's what
When
it
was McComas?
McComas.
When
McComas,
was
he was.
25.
See, used to be, we had, I think, 5 different sub-districts in District 7.
Yeah.
Now, we had Sub-District 3, and Sub-District 4, and Sub-District...
How about around here? What sub-district was this?
Five.
Sub-District 4 was right here, Fairmont.
And Grandtown, the land up there was 5 up there.
And back in there someplace around here, through Grafton, another side of Grafton, someplace over there, Sub-District 3. That was Hornyak was a sub-district president. And finally, he ended up with Solid Coal Company.
That's what? What, workman's compensation man?
Well, I don't know what they have.
Fornice, yeah. He got
He
it.
was district at one time 17 altogether.
Yeah,
Brian Marley
yeah.
was over there.
But now they divide up the sub-district.
All right, now all this began, you were trying to think of the name, this big cowboy. Do you recognize who you're speaking of?
I think I'm pretty sure it was a McComas.
McComas, and where was he
James
from?
McComas.
I don't know.
Where did he
James
live?
McComas.
Where did he work, James?
He had,
he
he
was
went to
with
Wyatt
McComas.
before he came.
Wyatt, and then
Then
after he
elected,
served as district president
District president.
I think it was
of a
James.
sub-district
Sub-district.
in the 20s, do you think?
Yeah.
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 McClary, he got elected, he worked
He
at
was a
Rachel.
board, he was a board member.
Well, I say, he was from Rachel.
Yeah.
And they were some kind of an Austrian, Joe or something like that. They always went together, and they just sell you right down the river as they went.
Who was that, Joe? Someone in
Joe
Austin?
something like the Austrian. Every time they
All
come to
right.
mind,
There was another guy whose name I'm not remembering now. When Kenny was the district president, this guy was, I think, the secretary. Bill Blizzard was around then too, but that's not the one I'm thinking of. This was a guy who later came here to Fairmont. He opposed Lewis too, and then he shot himself here. Do you remember? Killed himself around 1952 here. But most of his activity was in southern West Virginia when Kenny was around.
I don't know him.
He and Blizzard and Kenny were like the young guys really running, a very militant show in World War I.
He's the man.
Who?
That Blizzard was the man. I think that.
Yeah, well, his boy now is Blizzard's son is huh?
He was president.
Yeah, Blizzard later, used to write letters to the editor, everything, even the one down there now. What's Titler came up under Blizzard, the one in that other district.
At that particular time when they were Cornwell was the governor of West Virginia, and after that, E. Morgan from here from Fairmont elected him on the Republican ticket. Counted him in. He wasn't elected, but he just put him in.
Let me, Mr. Merriweather, ask you to recall, you came here then, and then what happened to you? When did you come out of the mines, or when did you first get into the Union? After you came to West
After I came to
Virginia?
West Virginia, after I came to West Virginia, I left here in 32. See, the thing had got too rough. In fact,
From when till 32? From 25 till 32? You
Yeah.
stayed at Carolina?
stayed in Carolina from 25 to
Did you
32.
raise a family?
Yeah. And I went back to Pennsylvania. I stayed out there until the Union, you understand, was taking shape all out there and out even here. And so I had some more friends, I had some friends here. And some little things we started together and they wrote me and I come back. And
So that was by 33 when the Union was breaking everything open.
yeah, that's right. Somewhere along there. 33, no, 34 when I come back.
Okay.
I got back in 34, and I went back to work. I worked there until,
You come in October 33,
September.
Yeah, he was in Pennsylvania.
September,
yeah, I was in
yeah.
Pennsylvania.
That was the first contract we had.
All right, now what role did any of you play in the 30s? What did you do? Did you ever help out on organizing drives in other places, or what?
Well,
I can say this here, from the time when my kids, they didn't even know me till they started going to Paramount State College down here. Because I wasn't working, I was out in the picket line. And
When was this now, Mr.
doing this after that God-given man, Mr. Roosevelt, and before that, after you were elected President of the United States.
Well, did the miners here roll in the here, Section 7A of NRA gets passed, and Lewis has the genius to realize, where the other labor leaders don't, that up till now the government's been fighting you. The federal government, the state government, the local government, the sheriffs, the whole law has been against
everything,
it.
yeah.
He turns it around and takes every penny and borrows every penny the union can, busts the union, but puts organizers in the field everywhere. Then did the rank and file spend a lot of time on it too, to making it a success? Well, tell me.
yeah.
Well, that's what did you do
It's
personally?
just like you hand your thing on a piece of paper. As I say, that God-given man, Franklin Roosevelt, he said, here, organize and collective bargaining, and I'll do away these thugs.
Well, where did you go? You say you didn't have time for your family. Where did you go? You were working where in 1933?
Preston County, and that.
Where were you working personally?
At that time?
Yeah.
I was working up at Rachel.
Did you continue to work?
Yeah.
And on your days off and your nights,
That's
where
right.
did you go?
All
Preston
them
County?
mines the other side of Buckhannon up in
Yeah.
there, and Preston County, all these darn counties down there.
And you went out and talked to the people. What,
Yeah.
carloads of you at a time?
Carloads of it. Even the superintendent, we had a superintendent, if you didn't go, he'd fine you.
Now, why was the superintendent?
Because he's a labor man friend.
Around here, the people took advantage when the NRA come in. And the NRA come in, and this, I was away from here, but I was always in touch. I was in Cleveland, ended up there, but when the NRA come in around here, the men took advantage of it because they were tired of this tyranny and everything, and they took advantage of it and organized right away. And they got the union, and that had since.
All right. Now, where you went to Preston County and beyond Buckhannon and down into all those counties, what were you doing at that period?
Let me say the word now. When the NRA was passed, the coal miner in 30 days was organized.
Yeah.
Now,
There were ones that
we had this total small mine, Preston County and different other neighbor county. Well, they was non-organized. Cecil Eubank was vice president at that time. And
Not till 36, I don't think. This is an
I
earlier
don't know.
period.
well, now this,
Cecil was still in
Frank
college.
Miley was
Well,
Frank
I
Miley.
think I'm trying to
Miley was
figure out
there.
what happened
Miley,
in 33, right
Frank
then,
Miley.
34.
33, I tell you, when the NRA passed a 30 day time, a miner.
Marion County is
They
organized.
don't
Yeah.
have. They don't have any.
There
Yeah, but
One
what
that
about
been
the
organized
places that
before.
aren't organized? Who's going in there?
Well, then
They weren't organized before,
the
that's
district
organized.
organized a rolling picket. They had maybe 50, 75 car. They had 3, 4, or 5 men in the car. We went as far as Donaldson, Elkins,
Everything.
and every place where we can
Spread
they
it to
had
the
to
far
say,
reaches,
that's right.
okay.
Mine, he don't work for every day, but now when mine was idle, they been so many car every camp, and we meet certain places. We went out to try to organize.
All right, let me back up. I tried to find out, and I'm getting pieces of it, and I hope you'll talk frankly about it. You've said that the companies earlier would place people in such a way that the local Native American population probably preferred not to go underground, okay, and let
Oh,
the
yes, sir,
farmers
yes,
go
sir.
and people go down. Now, when did the first Negro miners come in here in numbers, and what was the reaction of the men around here then?
No reaction. No.
Huh?
They don't have any reaction on it.
Was there ever any hostility?
No, never did.
No hostility
No.
toward the colored. No, I don't think there was, no.
And when I returned from the Army in 1920, there was two colored men worked at number 9 mine. One of them was Roby.
Wait a minute, let me hear him. Who?
And a man named Roby, and he was the local union president back
Yeah.
then.
Now, this is very important. Let me follow you in what you're just now saying. You went to service from 1916 and
Yes.
stayed until 1920.
Yeah.
And then you returned to number 9?
I started work number 9
And there were just, out of how many men approximately were there to?
I don't know how
colored
many
men.
I suppose
About 400.
about 400.
There's 2 colored men.
There's
And
two
one of
colored
them was the president of the local
One was
union,
the
and it
president.
was then an organized local with a contract.
That's
What was
right,
his
yeah.
name?
His name was last name was Roby. I forget now what.
Roby. All
And
right.
there's Lee
I
Prophet.
remember.
Was the
Well, I
other
want to
man.
hear these names. Lee Prophet.
Lee Prophet, machine man, and Roby, he loaded
was
coal
loading
in mine,
coal.
but he was the president of the local union there.
All right.
The
Now,
only
did
two
you
colored
find, like, for instance, that was the United Mine Workers always had this tradition of teaching people not to oppose people on grounds of religion or nationality?
That's right.
When did you first encounter this? Did you find it from the first day you met the union it took this policy?
right.
They had that in the Constitution, no discrimination.
I know, but so do say other unions. But why is the UMW? How do you explain that its record is better on this?
Well, I figure that because of the fact that I think we were all in one class. We were just poor damn people, working people.
That's right. There has
right?
to be some important
That's what I figured that was.
It just
That's what
like-
we were, and we cooperated. There wasn't anything. When I worked around that man there, and I
You worked too?
Sir?
Go ahead, what were you
I
saying?
worked around him, and
Yeah.
it didn't mean any difference. I mean, we were just poor people, and we just didn't.
Was it the oppression of the companies was so bad on everybody? In other words, the yellow dogs mistreated a white man as quick as a black man.
Oh, yeah.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
The yellow dogs were so brutal, it didn't matter how nice you tried to be, or
Exactly.
upright, or you raised
If
your
he can
kids,
get
it didn't matter.
Didn't
If he
matter.
get a drop
Color
on
of
it,
my-
if he get a drop on it, get behind me. That's the only way they could do it. He'd get behind me and hit me in the head of a darn club.
No,
But it wasn't
they
worth it.
wouldn't.
All right, I'm just trying to bring it
I
out. You
think
follow
it's
me
good
as to
after
what sometimes discrimination is subtle. You follow me? It favors the white man, so it keeps him bought over. You know.
No, we were. No, I think it's just the oppression. That's all.
Yeah, that's right. Didn't care. Creed, color,
Yeah.
nationality had nothing to do with it.
We can't deny it. They had a stooge.
That's the worst thing in the world.
You had a boarding house. He had a bunch of boarder, and beside that, he was a bootlegger. Now that was a good man, because he was worked for the company. And he had another stooge, probably maybe he got a boss job or something. They favor that. Now you have to watch what you do, how you talk, because otherwise they probably hit on the fire you clear off, but now they work around you to get something on you. They find some excuse to kick you out. So it happened to me. I had a Hungarian man. He was a section foreman, and I was working a cellar place. And finally, a clay come in my place, about a half-inch thick, and every cut, it increased maybe 3-4 inch. Finally, I told him I want to pay for it, because we don't have no heat.
When is this, John?
That was about 1931.
All right.
That was 1931. And he said, well, he said, you're supposed to be cleaning your clothes. I say, clean hell. I said, this is a vein of slate. And finally, I had that much slate. And finally they ended up, he paid me $2 a day to clean it, but no, I had a heck of a time to get it. And finally when he worked the place, I don't have no place.
Okay. Let me go back to the stool pigeons and this. Well, let's talk about them a while. When do you think you first encountered one? How early in the game?
Well, I think you still have.
Anytime,
All right, but-
anytime them men went scabbing, and I was another poor fella with a picket line.
All right, but I mean, and did you ever encounter real spies? A man is sent in by the company, like in southern West Virginia. These detectives became local union presidents. They became provocateurs. They were men who got the men out on strike so that you could find the 5 or 6 leaders quick and fire them. In other words, the record is pretty clear how they operate inside the mines and wrote reports.
Really, I don't think we had that in a union.
Okay,
No,
you
no.
didn't see it inside the union.
Not
Okay.
when we had an organization. I'm talking about this when they had open shops, Kevin.
All right.
Now, wait a minute, Charlie.
Yeah,
I don't
you
agree with you.
still
We still had them. We still had them at Carolina. We still had. We still got. And every mine got them. I don't agree with you.
And they run a factory.
And we had them at Carolina. We had them in Carolina. We had them at Item A because I could see. I was a day man mostly. I'm a bricklayer. I could see. You could see everyone. Most sections, some sections didn't have them. Most down you see right today that they still have. But they can't get away with it. I mean, they're not so open.
All right. What other nicknames are there besides yellow dogs?
Well,
Did you ever have things like lollipops?
Waldenfeld detectives.
popsicles.
I don't want to put it on what you call them. I don't want to put it on recorder.
Well,
What we call them.
yeah, go ahead. We'll edit it out.
Detective down southern
What?
part, Waldenfeld
Yeah.
detective down southern
Yeah.
part of the state. That's what they call them all the time.
No, we call
Yeah.
them. We call them.
They call them
Yeah.
Waldenfeld
Suckers, that's what
detectives
we
down
call
there.
All right.
And we still have a few.
Yeah. Okay. Now, the other question is, back in those terrible poverty days of the company oppression and how things were bad, things must not have been that much different around here as they were in other places where there were working people, in the sense that people were almost ready for revolution. Even Mother Bloor, wasn't exactly just a union card holder. This was a woman who backed Eugene V. Debs. This was a woman who backed the Wobblies, and so forth.
Yeah.
What manifestation, what did you see of some of these bigger movements that went on in the earlier days? Like, I wouldn't know it if I saw it, the Hungarian miner's voice, but it must have had political positions besides back in the Union, huh? It
No.
must have advocated other things that it wanted, Social Security or other things that came in later years.
That meant that they had so much foresight. In 1924, I was making $10, $12 loading coal. And I had, they come weekly, this paper. He say, Miner, don't buy no silk shirts. Because the time coming, you'd be glad if you want to have a blue shirt. And he wrote another article. They wrote some politics and wrote the minor life of difference in the country. He said, we're going to see a day, we're going to eat the breakfast in London. You eat your dinner in New York, and they eat your supper in Boston. I said, I see you crazy as hell. But now it's coming.
Yeah.
And a lot of other things. And I learned that off of that man, I don't know how much. Because now, only thing I had grade school.
Yeah.
But now, really, he was a great man to teach the
Well, let me say this. I have enough respect for you guys and your intelligence that what you're telling me about is a very important journal. So if Mr. Hornyak does find any old copies around it, I want to show it to the librarians at West Virginia University and elsewhere, and see if they can find others and look for it around the country, because it ought to be translated, and used. Because it contributes to the Union's history, and the way things went. It obviously helped. Let me ask about other things. You see, there are a lot of things going on together in this period. Mother Jones is just the indication of it. So let me, for instance, Mr. Hess says that things were called socialist at the same time. This is very true if you study this labor history.
Yeah,
The same accusation, there must have been socialists around in Fairmont. You follow me? There must have been guys who became socialists in the mining camps. What I'm trying to do is put together what else helped to contribute to the education of the working class, you see? This Hungarian Miners Journal did, right? There were other things that educated
Thomas.
people up. Yeah, what about him?
You can't.
He spoke here, listen.
Where?
He spoke here right at the Armory, old Armory, and they
When?
were
Can you
quite,
help?
oh, I don't remember what year. Listen, I was, in fact,
How
at that,
old were you? Try to help.
just right after I went to work in the coal mines. I was
All
just
right.
a kid.
Norman Thomas
That's
spoke
right,
here
I
in
was-
1920, you think?
He was a columnist.
I think
Norman Thomas
about
was-
1920.
Now, at that time, he was not the leader of the Socialist Party. Eugene B. Debs was.
That's when he run for president.
That'd be later, like 24
Well,
maybe, or 28
anyway,
he came.
I sat on I was the proudest man in the world. I sat on the stage there at the Armory.
Now, was this because there were miners who were socialists and invited to be?
That's right. They
How
were
many
there.
people came to hear Norman
The
Thomas?
Armory was full. And I
Was your strike on at the time? Was that
Oh,
the
yeah.
reason a lot of people?
Yeah.
Did he come here during the strike?
Yeah.
I don't know. Because
You don't know
I
about
never-
this.
I
Yes, he
never-
did.
All right.
I never
And
been to-
there was,
Yeah.
I'll bet you, 500-600 people there.
Yeah.
At the Armory.
All right. What other movements were there of this sort? How did this district go in, say, was it the 26 elections for international president?
No, I'll repeat that.
All right. And was it 1926 or 28 when John Brophy ran in the Save the Union campaign
Well,
after the
that was,
smashing of the strike?
That was about 26 or
28. Wasn't it
yeah.
somewhere in there?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Wasn't this about this
Yeah.
period? Were there arguments inside this district as there were
Oh, yeah,
elsewhere?
indeed.
Now, where were the strengths? Where were the strongest Lewis locals? Where were the strongest Brophy taught?
Well,
In which areas that you
Everything
remember?
here was Lewis around here.
let me say this. When this Harvard and Brophy, they
Who?
come
Oh, yeah, that was Alex Howard. Is that? Yeah, right, yeah.
they preached a different policy what John L. Lewis followed. And actually it divided the miners.
That was what?
Divided the
Yeah,
miners.
right.
And but just the same thing, identical same thing happened with today. Right now.
Mm-hmm.
The miner, the navvy was beat from a coal operator.
Yeah.
The coal miner always was beat by among themselves.
Always happened.
Right. The division caused-
That's
yeah,
right.
right.
When we fight each other,
Right.
and a time coming that man, the third man sat back behind and left on us
right.
and pushed us all on the ditch at the same time.
Let me just make one
Yeah.
sick. I want you to develop this, but when you're looking at the thing with a long view of history, you're glad that Lewis won. You follow me?
God,
Okay.
yeah,
All right,
God
that's
bless
number
him.
one. Okay. Number two is he had to adopt his opponent's platform ultimately. This is very important in history. Brophy won the issues. He lost the election, but John L. Lewis had to renounce every bit of unionism he stood for and adopt militancy in the 30s and had to adopt the position that they begged him to adopt. This has happened over and over again, okay? If we may be seeing it happening inside the union now, we don't know. It's not my position to judge. What I'm trying to say is, you don't want a divided union, but history's funny. You beat the dual unionists. You follow me? You beat them, and yet you have to look and say, well, we're still following the right policy, or do we have to, change our policies too? Policies may be wrong. Okay. What I'm trying to find out is, it's a beautiful thing that Lewis's strength as a man was that he could send for these guys later. You follow me? He never made enemies like for life. You follow me? He defeated men, but then he could later come and say, by God, that's the best organizer. I need him on my staff. Now, this is not true. There are small minds today, petty men. You follow me?
Yeah.
They only think they want to run a guy into a hole in the ground. You can't do that. In the real big world, it gets that. Now, what I'm trying to figure out is, and you're helping me, is what interested the rank and file miner, just like I want to ask you about his home life, as well. At that period, you say you didn't go to these things, but this is very interesting. That's not in the history books any more than Mother Jones's meetings are. What other big meetings took place? What was going on in here? Surely you all didn't have any right to make a speech then, right? They had you beat. So how did people come in to bring more freedom in here, you see? The UMW was fighting for freedom at that point.
I think our freedom, when the Union got the most freedom,
Yeah.
I think when we got the Democratic sheriff, John Riggins, wasn't
That's
it?
what I want to know. What
John
political-
Riggins. Up until then, we didn't have any rights in this county.
When was
When
that?
John Riggins, we was out on picket line. They didn't arrest us like
That
that.
was
You
before,
remember?
while the strike was on?
Yeah,
Well, it was back
Yeah. I think with John Riggins. his name was.
In the 30s?
Yeah.
This is after you're organized then?
Yeah.
Maybe just before you're organized.
It's
then.
before. It's before we were
Like
organized.
30 or 32, huh?
No, after 30, but
Before, just a little bit before we were organized.
But did you have any political victories in the 20s? Can you think of it? Even if you didn't win, did you do things?
Well, we tried.
The company could
tried,
smash you
yeah.
too easy, right? They
We
could
tried.
fire you.
My
We
God, the
tried,
company
and the
owned
whole
everything.
thing
The
was
Watson
this year, we
Inter-
tried.
The Watson, listen, the
Anytime that you
Watson,
haven't got a man in the White House in Washington D.C., it's not their friend.
Right.
You can't go no place.
No,
And
that's right. But there
exactly
was
what we
small
had. It was
victories
12
in
long years.
Kentucky or
It was
somewhere
12
else.
long years we fought, but we didn't have no friend in the White
When
House.
do you consider the 12 years? 1920 to 32 were the rough years
That's right.
before the
That's right,
33,
before
huh?
Mr. Roosevelt was elected
Because
president.
It was like a civil war.
the
Yeah, like a
Watson
civil war,
Inter-
absolutely.
controlled everything, and they finally went broke.
I'm the next man to Christ, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, let me ask you about the men's personal lives. Each of you finally got married, did you? You didn't remain bachelors,
Yeah.
huh?
oh, I got like 20.
In 20. Okay, you raised what? Large families or what size families?
8
Mr. Ellick?
kids. I raised my 5, and I raised 3 my first marriage. My
Right.
wife's first husband got killed 1919.
Was he a minor too?
He was a minor.
Now,
And he had a child a month old when his dad died.
mm,
And I was married to her. And
so you raised his children and your own. Right. Now, what have happened to your children? Are they scattered out?
Yeah, I got 5 in Ohio, 2 California, 1 in Farmington.
Okay. Mr. Hess, what about your history?
I have 2 children. I have one lives in Richmond, Virginia, and one in the Elephants, and they're both done darn good. I tell you that.
Done real well, huh?
But I never would allow them to work the coal mines.
All
I
right.
never allow my son to work coal mines. They offered me a job over at Ida May, was driving a truck. I said, no, sir. The only coal I want you to see is
All
that
right.
radio.
And did any of yours ever work in the mines?
My kid? Yeah, 2 of them.
Are
They-
they
they
still
got
around?
around
today?
No, they left.
How about your
I had two, and they're both college graduates. One got killed last year at college, and the other one is in Illinois.
And Mr. Merriweather, how many children did you raise?
3.
And are they still around here? Or?
No, one lives in Tulane, Pennsylvania, the other in Wisconsin.
What about social life? What about singing? Was there singing on the picket lines?
There was a band on the picket. There was a
All
band.
right. The Mononga Band began when? When did you first?
Ever since I can remember.
That was a
When?
big,
Was it 19...
big 20
10?
and 25 and
Yeah.
on 24, 20.
What did you do? The Mononga Band went to the
Mononga
picket
band,
line.
yeah.
They start from Long and go to Grandtown. You know
All right,
Jimmy
had a-
Morgan, don't you?
had a fella named-
You know Jimmy
Sure,
Morgan?
Jimmy Moore,
He's down
yeah.
there at Circuit
Now let me
City.
understand. You mean they marched from Mononga to
absolutely
Grandtown?
marched, yeah.
That'd be hours, huh?
Judge Davis was the head
Let
of
me
it.
tell you something. We walked. We walked.
Tell me about walking. How far would you walk?
Well, Charlie and I'd start out. We'd start out and go from Farmington to
What time in the morning?
No, that's 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Now this is organizing days.
Yes,
huh?
indeed.
All right,
And then
during the
we'd-
20s.
And then we'd go to Carolina. Start out 3 o'clock. Charlie and I, like I say, middle of the road.
You'd walk where? To Ida May? You'd start up the road to Carolina? Around?
Yeah.
Then what would you do with
Cut
that?
over the hill.
Only
Wasn't
thing
the
you can
company
stay there.
property.
and-
Well,
But
You'd try to get there for first shift, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Merriweather.
we used to walk from Carolina to Fairmont.
You mean after a shift or on a Saturday or
So under
something?
the, while I was doing the strike, you see, after the contract expired,
That happened
they
30.
had a big blowout over there on the courthouse steps, you know, when they had those women in there. No, I agree with it.
32.
Women, what was this, the women in 32? What do you mean?
Well, they picked those
They
women up,
fought-
understand,
they
for
fought
picketing.
more than their husband did for the union.
The women were even better pickets
Oh,
around here. And when did they start picketing?
Oh,
In
they
the
took it
20s?
all right along.
Now,
That's what
sometimes the men would have an injunction stopping them from
In
picketing.
1932, us fellows and Rachel, we went around these mines trying to organize mines after we got reorganized. And them people died in May. The women was the worst fighters ever I seen in my life.
Yeah.
Fighting for their husband's job. I'll tell you that there. They just.
What kind of fight? They'd beat up the scat, beat up on scat?
A piece of a log or a root of a tree or something like that. And I seen one over there hit one of them thugs or yellow dog, what they call it, with a root of a tree.
Would
and-
they sing?
Yeah,
The women?
singing.
They leave the band alone a minute. Did you sing union songs? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Solidarity Forever? What songs?
How do you do, Mr. So-and-so?
Let me hear,
How do you
when
do?
was that, Mr.
That was going to strike all the time.
When, in the
In the
20s?
20, yeah.
Did you have union words to the
Well,
songs?
put in union words, yes.
Yeah? Who remembers them? Who remembers any of those?
I don't.
You, come on,
Wait
Mr.
a minute.
Hornyak, you're about ready to go, I can see.
I
We're going to get Mr. Hornyak on this record right now.
You get your whistle and blow.
Tina?
One of the songs we'd sing when Van came here, I'll never forget, we first started the Monongah Band.
Mrs.
How do
Van
you do,
Bittner.
Mr. Bittner? How do you do?
Yeah.
How do you do, Mr. Bittner? How are you? It's not your face affair, but the way you comb your hair.
How do you do, Mr. Bittner? How do you do?
How do you do, Mr. Bittner? How you do? And then we had another song.
Do you remember any of the songs? They used to sing, the union songs?
Let's see, how was the? We had several.
They should have those someplace.
Yeah, they are.
They are.
Jimmy Morgan ought to have
Maybe,
it.
Well, I think I'm speaking of the kind that were sung on picket lines where you made up your own words, making
we
fun of the
did.
bosses
We
and all
had
that.
them.
You know.
They had a band leader here for the name Smith, I think, if
Yes,
I'm
Smith.
right.
He wasn't cool, man.
Hey, I'll tell you who. You
Yeah.
got a nurse down here. That's nursing down here. Her dad was.
Missouri?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're her outfit.
Who was?
Vingles,
she a
all the
Vingle?
Vingles, yeah.
Now, these are the same Vingles that are out at the electrical plant. Their daddy was a miner, or what?
Daddies were minor, all those from Monongah. They were from Monongah.
Now,
yeah.
what about those Vingles? They were musicians?
They played in the band.
All of them played in the band.
All of them played in the band.
And I think Jimmy Morgan, he'd been in that band then. I don't know that.
Well, Jimmy
time.
Morgan.
Well,
He later years, no.
Now, well, let me get this walking straight, too. Let's talk about walking. The band would start at Monongah, or would they come in on trucks to Fairmont? And then go
Well,
where would you
when they
know?
come that far,
They walked too.
Walk.
They'd walk the highway, block the highway from Monongah up
They
here?
walked.
They
Huh?
generally come through by farming and up
Don't
through that
forget
way.
these
Cut a
members of these
shortcut.
bands, this
Instead of going
band
around
was
this way, go through
miners too.
Yeah.
Aye, much more than today.
Much more than today, that's right. They're getting out of it
you
now.
don't know how, I don't know whether, how many miners you got in the Monongah band?
Now, there's many now.
Were a lot of those miners good musicians aside from that?
They was actually,
Aside-
they was actually.
Polish, was that a very, it was Vingles Polish?
Majority, yeah.
Would you say that Polish people especially, John, were interested in like marching bands and being good musicians?
We only had that one band. That was a Monongah band that went out on these picket lines. They had them Bengals. They had
This Smith.
Huffman,
John Hoffman
Yeah, he died, I think.
and all.
And
yeah, he
Smith
died.
was the director.
Director, yeah. He
died
wasn't a
in
coal miner, I think he was
convention
in Clarksburg.
Yeah, but maybe the majority were coal miners at that time.
yeah,
They
they
were.
They
They
were.
were. That's how I was formed.
It was formed, when do you think it was formed? In 19, right, early? Because you say you remember it by 1910?
And then the 20 when they.
1920,
was organized.
1920, our local union worked number 9 mines. You remember, Charles? We every one of them give them money on them uniforms they had.
That was the first, you remember the local unions here put up the money for the Monongah band's
We
uniforms.
donated our local union. We donated our own pocket at that time.
But they were good. And then they finally, I think this nurse's dad had a dance band. one
Oh,
time.
yeah, he still, her brother still has, these guys still have Virgil Vingle's band.
No, they were good union people.
Yeah. All right, tell me anything else that strikes you along this line, either about what things cost in the company stores. How about company script? Did you get paid in it?
I wouldn't do it.
I ain't never,
Well, let me make one remark now. If you was fortunate enough to have a cash, and the other fella, he needed cash, you can buy the dollar script for 50 cents.
do you know that there were people at, I'll venture a guess, 40-50% of the people for months and months and months never drawed a nickel cash. Didn't get any pay. Had
Yeah.
to pay it out in script, and that was it.
What was rent on a company house in those days?
I don't know, I never, what was the rent?
Well, $8.
For what size house?
2 1/4 room.
A
2 1/4.
In what years?
different. So some of us had 4 rooms, some of us had 5.
It had to be 10, 18.
And they even, over at Ida, me in Carolina, I was on the mining committee at that particular time, they was charging them for the sinks in the house and things like
Now,
that.
when was this?
Yeah, they
Mr. Hess, when? When was this you were on the mine?
Union.
What years?
What year was it?
What?
When they was charging them the sinks in the house.
31.
All
Oh,
different.
that was
35 now.
1930.
Yeah.
6 or 7.
It's after the union you're filing grievances.
Charged with that thing.
Yeah, they had to pay all the
Union
sections.
had,
All right, let's talk about the company doctors again. Now we're getting down in the 30s, huh? Who are some of the doctors you remember in all these
Dr.
places?
Kinney,
Wait, hold it now. What?
Dr. Kinney, he was a doctor in
Yeah.
Ida Mayo.
His father and then the young man who died.
Well, the young one was come later.
Yeah, but this
After
first
he-
one got there around 1920.
yeah, he
Doing
was
the
very
war.
long.
And then about 1960.
All right, 1960. He was a check-off doctor for those mines,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he lived where? In
In the
Idaho?
company.
Silk stocking roll.
I paid him, and he didn't come to farm it, and I had to go to him.
Yeah.
If I had
And,
done broken leg, I had to crawl over.
When the old Dr. Kinney died, Dr. Evans come in there, stayed there, I don't know.
But he was typical of the other doctors. He was company-minded and
Well, I
like most
don't
of them.
know.
100% of the
The young one was better than the old man.
I think Dr. Evans, it was fully.
Who was the other one?
Dr. Evans.
Dr. Evans was company
Yeah.
doctor.
The one that was
stay
down
around.
here now.
Yeah.
Where was he the company doctor?
I don't know.
Carolina.
What years now? We're getting up, but he's not that old.
30 years.
Was after the 40.
All right.
After he come home from the service, he was before the
After-
service and
and
after
after.
the service.
I couldn't send him
Second
to get
World War.
Dr. Evans.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Then his son was coming, took his.
Who's?
The young Dr. Kinney. He took
Yes, and then I know
Dr.
about
Evans quit.
Then young Dr. Kenny came in, and he died very
Yeah, and
young.
then he
Yeah.
stayed away a short
Then,
time, but just quick, I,
It's
Oregon
Who
guy.
now, Mr. Hess?
Evans only stayed there a short time. He asked us, and I was the chairman of the medical committee, and I asked for a raise. And I took it up, and the membership, and they agreed to give it. Just quick, he got it, by gosh, got him a raise. I think after the first raise, by gosh, he went down here, Morgan, down here at Fairmont, and took his over his.
He went with Morgan at
Yeah.
that time? And what a month was it? What was
I forget now.
the
when it
charge?
was. I forget all about that.
It was $1.50.
For a family at that time, after World War II?
Yeah.
$1.50 and a half for family, I think, what was a single man?
$1.
And like I say, you had to go to him. He,
All right, now what, then, how about the doctors at Farmington by that time?
It was
30s and
Jenkins.
40s.
Jenkins, he was number 9.
And
Yeah.
there was a fellow named Dr. Conaway there for quite a few years.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Arthur
He was a
Smith.
check-off doctor too?
Yeah.
On the way.
This
All right.
Jenkins, he not only a checkoff doctor, but he was everybody's doctor.
He
one of them
probably had
doctors.
private.
Young Jesse Jenkins' father, you know.
Yeah, sure.
His father.
Collins come to Granttown 1908 and left here in 1948.
40 years, huh? All right, do you think of any other check-off doctors? What did they
Oh,
dispense?
there was lot. There was Dr.
Oh,
Peters. and-
who?
Dr. Peters.
Where
He
was Dr.
He
Peters?
was there before Collins was. Granttown.
Before 1908?
Yeah.
Lord, no mind.
I know Dr. Peter.
You know Dr. Peters.
Yeah, I know his son, I know.
Julius, don't you?
What about his
Well, there was
son?
Dr.
His
Prelude
son was
down
an
there.
office man. He was a-
Prelude down there.
Yeah, Prelude for
Prelude.
I want to get their names. Where was he
Prelude
located? At Barracks?
At Bethlehem, down
where?
at
Dakota.
Dakota.
Wow. Prelude.
Prelude.
And
And
I'll
then
tell you, Dr. Vashers
At
was at
Tuckwell.
Barrickville, And Dr. Tuckwiller was at Baxter.
Baxter?
He, that's what, he was at
All right,
Baxter.
Tuckweiler's still around here, very old man.
No, he did.
No, he's not dead. He's up in Lewisburg.
He's just-
I thought he
I
was
met
around.
him last
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah?
Go ahead, any more?
He was a good
Chekhov
man.
doctors?
Yeah.
Any more
Tuckweiler was a
Chekhov
good man.
doctors you remember?
I don't remember any more, Doc.
Any down towards Monongah? Barr was on a Chekhov
Yeah,
or not?
he was-
He was a doctor in Manila, but he would take that place when old.
All right. Where were the scabbiest minded guys around in here? Like if Farmington was a good Union place and others, where did you look for the most trouble? At what distance?
Don't
What
ask
area?
me, I call them old damn dirty.
I think they were all the same.
Okay.
I really do. I really believe all the same.
I thought where there might have been the toughest
And I'll tell you
places to
one,
organize.
the one that organized first was Rachel.
And that was the best.
Rachel organized first.
Why do you say it organized first?
Well, they went, they
In 33 or
organized
early, you mean?
earlier. And they went and paid, raised the, what was it they raised the tonnage to? 30
28,
cents?
no, 28 cents.
28 cents, and they organized.
Yeah.
They organized. Rachel was the first man to organize. And
When? When did it organize?
it's
Ray?
before
I think
32.
They was organized in 1930, if I'm right.
What do you mean?
Now, I'll
Yeah,
tell you
Rachel
something.
Yeah, well, they got 22 cents a ton. They had to compete with
They organized in 30, though.
Probably
They
they cut it-
organized in 30.
1931.
Did
because
they
I was with
organize
them.
before the others?
Yes.
Yeah, we were
Rachel
on strike
organized.
because I was one of
Yeah.
me and Virgil Keener and Pat Durkin, the one that signed him up.
Listen,
And I
Rob,
elect me union check women like you're talking about the way cold for
They had the,
union.
you remember when they had the big time at Midway Park
Yeah.
when they organized? You remember that
Yeah.
Sunday?
No, what
Irving
happened at
Fletcher?
Midway Park?
Well, that's where they had the superintendent. We all walked there because there wasn't any cars. We walked there, and that's where they had the big celebration. Midway Park, nothing to it now. And they
Where
announced
is
that they
Midway
organized.
Park? Along-
It's on the old
Around 50
highway.
out of Plummet.
This side of
I
Plum
walked
Run.
that old highway. Which way?
This side where you turn into Plum Run, you don't see anything there now.
Okay.
It's a level place, and they had a big celebration. There used to be a barbecue place there.
Now, what year was this, mister?
That was in 30.
31.
31.
July
That meant they had
1931.
organized
Yeah,
Rachel
yes,
already.
indeed.
Now, they did it with a strike,
Yeah.
and they
yeah.
put them under UMW contract.
Yeah, and
What
they
were the
did it.
union dues then, Mr. Hornyak?
$5.50 a month.
That high?
And I was
Why?
the highest paid man at that mine. I got more than the superintendent. I got $4.75 a day for my labor because these men up here elected me, said you do better for me, and then if the company's worth.
What was
if-
your job?
Union check women. And I
Now-
looked after the pay sheet and everything else
Right.
like that there. They knowed exactly when it comes payday. I took if
What
was
is it that makes men trust a leader, Mr. Hess, from your experience? What are the qualities they want in a leader?
will not play in the hands of the company. Now, I worked at that mine up there, and one day the superintendent we had there from Pennsylvania, he said, I'd like to start down the coal tomorrow, one morning, if I got coal in the bottom of the mine at 7 o'clock. If not, if I got coal 8 o'clock, to go then. If not, 9 o'clock. I said, there's only one starting time here for me, because 7 o'clock is my starting time. And I don't give a darn. I'm not going up here and sit down and wait for 2 hours for nobody. But rather than satisfy you, Mr. Pittman, I expect you remember Fred Pittman, who used to be, his father was a blacksmith up there. And
I remember him well.
He was a blacksmith?
He was a blacksmith. Mr. Pittman, a real old man, he was our president. I said, Mr. Pittman, you call a special meeting and invite Frank Miley and that little bench-laid fellow, Tony Teacock up there.
Tony?
Yeah,
he was
that-
he represented.
He was board.
He was up there,
What was he?
And when
Vice president or board member?
I put my position on the table. I said, gentlemen, you fellows elect me that job and asked me to take that job. Now I've told you what I'll do and what I won't do. If you want to put anybody else in my place, okay. But I said I'm telling you exactly what I'll do and what I'll do. And Miley wanted to agree with the company, and some big Russian fellows and Polish fellows grabbed my neck, said, "You yellow dog." He said, "I haven't ever used to be."
They scared at Miley when he tried.
Miley
This
was way
was,
down there. You
now,
know.
what year was this incident?
That was about 2 years, something like after 31, about 33, something like that.
All right. Let me go back and finish up this celebration. Now, this was an achievement, right, in a
That was-
smashed field where they'd smashed the Union. They destroyed the UMW.
28 was clean.
All right, so this was a wiped out UMW area, and then along comes Rachel and organizes ahead of the rest of the country. Now, What did they serve at a celebration like that? Did they have a beef barbecue?
No,
What
they
would they
didn't
do?
serve anything, just the
Speeches?
Speeches.
urban, I mean.
Did the band go to that Midway celebration?
I don't remember the band, but I was there. Fletcher, he was super. I knew him well.
Or Emery Fletcher.
Henry Fletcher was super, and
Were you working there then? Or did the
No,
people come
no,
from
no.
all the other locals to that to celebrate?
everybody
Okay.
went there. And
Who else spoke for the union?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't recall now who
We
spoke.
Okay.
paid after that.
Union, but
All right.
he got up and, I mean, they got him to say a few words, this Henry Fletcher, because I knew him well, and he said a few words, and Charlie, wasn't you there then?
Let me ask about
I've
Van.
never played when he was a meeting.
You all said earlier when you first heard Mother Jones. Who was it spoke now when you first heard her? Where?
Number 9.
All right. Now then, didn't others of you had you ever heard her speak?
I heard him, heard her someplace when I did Monongah or someplace one time.
I heard
Where
her
was
at
she
Granttown.
speaking from?
No, it was Granttown, that's where I heard her. I
Granttown.
know
When was she in Granttown?
It was in 1900 and I think 18.
No, it wasn't.
That was before you went to work in the mines. You went with your father.
1917 when the union come in this field,
Seven,
94.
wait a minute.
The
I
same
think
thing.
It was Monongah.
You're right, Charlie. It was
He
19
said when she spoke at Farmington, she spoke at the other local.
Yeah, 17.
Monongah's what I heard. I didn't.
Is that true? You all agreed on it now?
Pulp factory in Granttown.
What kind of factory, John?
They got a, you know where the pulp
Yeah,
factory was?
Fred
That's where
Tucson.
She spoke there?
Yeah.
Fred Tucson.
Now, where did she stand to speak?
I don't
Right on the
remember.
ground.
On the
All
ground.
right. How many people were there, would you guess?
Oh, the whole town.
man.
The whole
What,
town.
2,000? How many?
And not only that, I recall the general superintendent was there. The general superintendent, the pit boss.
Do you
everybody
remember
was
anything, what she said, what she spoke to?
Yeah, I remember what she
Oh.
said. She went down from Granttown and she spoke to down Baxter Ball down
there.
And she said, Pew, I can smell them shit houses from Granttown clear down here. See, they had them
Is that what she said,
Yeah,
really?
that's
She
exactly
said
what
she said what she
Okay.
wanted to say.
She was a militant old lady, wasn't
Yes,
she?
she was.
I tell you
Now-
what happened in number 9.
Yeah.
When she was speaking up there in a couple, what they do, who's the leader, and so, and who was the single, they shipped him back to Russia.
Oh, they deported him, you mean?
Deported
These
them.
were
Yeah.
immigrants,
Now,
yeah.
they had one fella named Frank
Red Pachinko.
Fashenko.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
He don't shift him back because he had about 4 or 5 kids born
Yeah,
in the United
right.
States.
Mhm.
And finally, Fred, he's still
Right.
still had that, a little bit of that system in it, but
Right.
never did.
All right, let me ask you about court injunctions. Were there a lot of judges'
No.
injunctions against you in the 20s?
Oh yeah, God.
Oh,
yeah.
well, yes.
When
yeah.
John Al- when
Like
John
they
Al
would
was-
name you, they'd name all the local union officers?
Yes, they have, yeah. When John Alus was here in 1924, about 40,000 people was in the old fairground up here.
The fairgrounds right over here
Fairground
on...
right here. And they had, I don't know how many hundreds of injunctions against West Virginia, but they don't have none of them. They don't have
They
the
didn't dare enforce them.
You know,
Now, John L. Lewis was here in 24, before they smashed the union or right after they, before they broke the contract?
too.
that was Monongah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
Monongah.
Monongah.
But that was at the old fairgrounds, 1924.
My
That was
recollection.
when they first tried to break the contract?
Right.
All right, then did you ever hear him again in the 20s, or was the next time Monongah?
Yeah, I hear.
Wait a minute, he
yeah,
spoke
I heard
down
him,
Brady too.
Go ahead and tell me when you
He
remember.
was at Brady.
Well,
He spoke to Brady.
I heard him in the old fairground up here in 24, and I hear him in 35 over in Monongah.
35 Monongah.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear him anymore besides that?
I heard him in the convention.
He was
No.
at Brady.
How big was the meeting at Monongah, would you guess?
That-
Is that the picture in the district office
Yeah.
at Monongah? Huh?
At Monongah and, let's see,
We was,
Old Fairgrounds and
You have
Monongah.
pictures?
Now, then he spoke with Brady too.
Now, Brady, not John Allen was spoken, there was Van Bittner.
John L. Lewis spoke down there too.
When?
No,
I don't know what
Brady.
year, but
Yeah.
he spoke there.
John
John L. Lewis
I don't
down,
try
All
to.
right, did any of you hear Van Bittner in the 20s when he used to hold meetings here.
Probably right.
He was a regular organizer
He was
here.
a great speaker.
He was a great man. I thought he was like a little kid.
He don't hold, had a young mass meeting one week, we was done, and so when come out to send a word down, we're gonna have meeting here, you know, whatever, you was ready to fight.
Right. Van Bittner's the one that held this field together after
It
the
was
smashing of
a
the
great
Union,
one, in
right?
And
1928.
him and what's his name left at the same time.
He should never
Because
die.
they was for Roosevelt, and John L. Lewis was opposed to it. Got up one night on Friday night.
Bill
and
Murray.
Made a speech.
Yeah, I remember that.
He made
yeah.
a speech
yeah.
against John L. Lewis, against President, God-given man, President
Yeah.
Roosevelt, and then.
Well,
Bill
that was
Murray
the split in the
Van
CIO.
Bittner put him
The
right
other
there.
guy stayed
Which
with the
should have.
CIO then, yeah.
You see,
right.
19.
That's what I was meaning by splits. You see,
That's exactly what
when
it
you
was.
look at things historically, nobody is that perfect. You follow me?
No.
They may be essentially
darn hard.
perfect, but
You fool a man
got to
one
listen
time.
to all the sides because the movement still comes together. You know, I mean, they still shake hands years later unless they just get bitter, you know, factional. Try to think of other aspects of the movement as it developed. Like, for instance, in those years, were some of you elected to wage policy committees, or, you know, who were some of the people that served the union that you remember?
One time
One organized.
Yeah.
one time I
I was on the
elected.
scale committee.
You were on the scale committee for the district?
1952.
52.
We had the used to have Mankind Trade and Labor Council,
Yeah.
and I was delegate to that.
What
for
year was that now, Mr. Hornyak?
Oh, back it was in the 30s.
30s, and I was delegate to that for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Every
Now,
single
did any
year.
of you serve as delegates to your international UMW
He
convention?
went,
Yeah,
Charlie.
Indianapolis.
You were there too?
I went there last time they had it in Indianapolis.
In Indianapolis, and then where
they
were
wouldn't
you a
allow her to
delegate?
speak, only just certain ones to speak. That's
What
exactly
year?
what broke it up.
Oh, I've been about 5 different times.
Okay. When was the last year?
In 1952.
And when was the year you were in Indianapolis?
I was in 19, and I believe it was 1934. And they say Tony and Angelo or somebody going to speak this morning, and Big Nick and Dominic or somebody going to speak this afternoon, and they would not let us speak. And we asked, Jim McNeil asked us to speak, and then nobody wouldn't allow him to speak.
This was
And
the
they
rough
accused him of not
period
being a
where
good
it
union
was
man.
difficult
Better
to speak out democratically in the union. Is that what you mean? There were years that was very rough, like
I don't know
after the
why.
autonomy was knocked out, it was hard sometimes to get the floor.
Well, let's take it this way. Any organization, regardless what the kind of organization is, when you meet 2,000 or 3,000 delegates, you have to have a schedule work out what program they put up today, scale convention report, what making scale, our organization, our policy, so-and-so. So they all had a man who was the head of that committee. And
Committee? Is that what you're speaking
Head
of?
of the committee,
Yeah.
yeah, chairman.
They always had a,
on rules and orders.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they always had a
Oh,
schedule
yeah.
work out to who's gonna
Right.
speak and what, so, and actually, and the floorman, he won a floor, he couldn't give him a floor because he had a regular schedule full.
Yeah, but that was
But
done
now-
way behind, back there, behind. They worked your schedule out way behind. Nobody knew anything about that schedule.
Well, now, every organization, they have to have
Sure,
Ah,
they do
that's
that.
a problem.
Yeah,
Let me ask you other things now about the backing the miners gave the other workers here. After you got organized, in what ways do you know the miners were able to help the others get
We
organized?
have every Tom, Dick, and
Well,
Harry.
give me examples that you
Well, we
remember
have the
going up.
wrestling card, we have.
How did you help them? Can you remember what you
Well,
did?
now we have our leader, they helped them to go and organize, to send the people, that paid him, and God knows what else, and finance them.
Finance them.
So,
We
Did the
financed
rank
them.
and file ever
CIO.
again do the things they did of going out themselves to join picket lines and to join
Well,
people?
Mr. Ross, I think a union feels this way, if I'm right. If one man down the mud and you don't pull it out, they're gonna pull you down with it.
Yeah.
In other words,
Now, I told
one union
that
affects them all.
Cecil way back, I don't know how many years ago. I don't know what Dickens, there was some trouble we started. And he said, well, I don't know what question, but I told he said, now Cecil, if we're gonna let them people fall, they're gonna pull us with them. So you might as well don't let them fall. So I don't care. It happened back in the 20s, started Benton,
Right.
and started Barracuda, started number 9, finally started Rachel, and
Right.
finally was
Were
on the-
you all, any of you, ever in a mine that exploded or where you were close to being injured yourselves?
Well,
I've been in
I-
a rescue team after explosion.
Yeah, what mine rescue team?
Yeah.
Where did you go in? To which mine?
Mathis, Pennsylvania. And
What year was that? you
that was
went
in
in?
29. And 1922, I was in the one at Benwood. Sammy Carpenter was the superintendent of the steel mills at Benwood Steel, and they also superintendent of the mines. He knows about the steel mills, you know about the mines. And it was just the work itself, that's all there was to it.
Now, were there many men jailed in the 20s during those tough years?
yeah.
Yeah? What were the circumstances? Mr. Elekes, what?
They pick you up.
I
and
seen
they-
them.
Where did they grab you? Where?
A picket line.
Where? At Ida
Well, I
May?
got,
No, but I'm trying to figure out where they got him.
I got to pick up a number 8, and well, what happened?
Monongo,
What year? You were at number 8 when?
Number 8 was in 1932.
All right, what happened
And I-
to you?
Well, a fella come down a hill. We was up there. I don't know how many of us from Ida May,
600.
Carolina, and the fella come down and cussed the union, cussed the John L. Lewis,
As well as
and I just
Rachel.
couldn't help it without poking.
You hit him? Yeah. And who was there? A deputy or what?
Well,
arrested?
Felix General, well, they was only luck I had, and otherwise I would be getting there.
Felix, you know?
Yeah, he picked me up, and that saved my head.
Yeah, what happened then?
Well, took me to jail, but now if a state cop picked me up, for sure they gave me a good beating.
I seen
Okay.
the jail so full you couldn't got a sardine in it.
Now, they were minors?
Oh, yeah.
Now, how many would be jailed, Mr. Hornyak?
Oh,
What?
I remember
Give me an
when they-
idea, what you think?
Remember one morning, Charlie?
Where did they
Carolina,
go to get
we were
that
there,
money?
and they got Iran. And
That was 1932 again?
No,
When?
no. This was
20s?
19. When was it?
Oh,
When the
1915, that was the biggest.
1915.
It was
That,
about-
now, let's go back to that
15.
case.
No,
That jailhouse.
Yeah, but wait a minute, he's going back to his first
1920
union.
some. This is 1920 some. When they killed Columbus and old man Columbus and all of them were, we were out on picket
32.
line, they gathered up a whole bunch and brought them down here to jail.
That was 32,
We
they
were-
were trying to bluff them there so they'd go back to
I
work.
don't think-
Oh, that was 30.
Who were they trying to bluff
They
in
were trying to
32?
bluff these men to put in jail. Us fellows from Rachel was going around from place to place.
Because you were organized, you were spreading the union?
Yeah.
And so who did they jail?
We was trying to organize, unorganized, you see, we got our union first, see?
Yeah.
And we've gone around from place to
Yeah.
place trying to organize, and
And they'd
put these
arrest you?
bunch of men in jail
Oh.
to scare them so they wouldn't want to
32,
organize.
yeah,
State
Then how many would they arrest at a time?
I don't know how many.
Oh.
Took a whole bus full from Ida May and
They'd
Klein.
back a bus up?
He can tell you more about it.
Were
because-
you in arrest? Were you arrested
No,
at Ida
no,
May
he
or Carolina?
Oh, I missed that.
He'd pull out.
That bus, I was leaving that very morning, he had about 20 fellas in the truck, and he was coming up, that is the pit foreman. He had about 2 or 3 state polices with it, and he wasn't asking no question. If he saw you, you got in that truck.
Where did he find the men? Just on the road?
Just standing on the street, you know when the excitement starts, people come out to see what's going
Yeah.
on.
And mind you, these same state police that they had that particular time, after that, they called them captains and colonels and all that kind of stuff. And every one of them got good jobs from the Salvation Coal Company. After Mr. Roosevelt became president of the United States, and they changed this administrations are all the time talking about. They put in Democrats in the state police, and so these
Consol had to give them all nice jobs.
they give them all good jobs. Mr. Fox, you ever heard of Mr. Fox?
Yeah.
I had to give him
Is he
superintendent.
connected with this present young judge?
No, I don't know whether or not.
No.
But you know, they
He's
had,
a fella, well, 1932, when they arrested that morning, he had one wasn't looking with a riot stick. I'd have killed that son of a bitch.
they had, the state police, we went, the last big picket line, the big one at Monongah. I took two fellows never even worked in the coal mines with me. It was on a Sunday night. And the state police would pick you up knock you in the head on highway even.
This was at Monongah?
Yes, that's.
What year, you think? Same time?
32.
32.
And I took Joe Boff and Aubrey Tootin with me. And, you know, we run, and I ran their clothesline, and I thought the state police hit me. I thought I was dead. Boy.
Now, go back to 1915, Mr. Elekes. You were starting to tell me this was the spontaneous strike that the workers at number 9 put on, and there were a lot of arrests then because a cop was beat up, right?
Jack
deputy.
Jail was
He was killed.
full. You can't pack no more in it.
How many did they arrest?
Oh, about 150, 60 people was in it.
Of the strikers, huh?
Yeah, all was strike.
And they broke the strike with
Oh, yeah.
that? That arrest broke the strike just about.
And
huh?
some of these same fellows, I can tell this year, the same fellows that they arrested and put in jail. On my uncle's farm, close to number 9 mines, these same men, because the uncle was talking to them at the same time, was laying right there, laying low right there on the farm. And they were coming, when they got off that farm, they arrested them and put them in a mound over there.
You mean he hit them out till the trouble was
No,
over?
they come there, and they all good friends to him, and then he didn't hide him nothing. They just laid there on Uncle's farm. And give him
But they were waiting
I got
for
him-
him
I know
afterwards?
all them fellas. And one fellow that had been working with me before that, little Joe, he gave him 5 years putting on the old Cal Conway's hat. He was sheriff of Marion County. They gave him 5 years by
Who was that guy that was killed there, Charlie?
Rig.
Huh?
Rig.
Lawrence
Riggs.
Riggs.
Yeah,
Lawrence Riggs was the guy
His,
that was killed?
his uncle, that's darn Lawrence Riggs is the head of Consol now.
He's not a head, he's just super.
No, he's general manager or something.
2 mines.
And his uncle was the,
Yeah.
what was his, was he a foreman then, or what
He
was
was
he?
a
Deputy sheriff.
Deputy sheriff. Now, is it true that the ruling circles here, the establishment, are interlocked with Consol and the law and all? Could you see it clearer in those days?
Yes, it was clear as hell. That poor old man Snyder used to have a furniture store here. He was an organizer, he was one of the swellest men that ever
Who was he
lived.
an organizer for?
He for the
Good
miners.
cause, he just believed in
Yeah,
good.
he didn't organize
he
labor.
would run
Watson had him beat up so bad, and this is the truth.
When was this? Can you?
It was back before 25 even.
All right.
Watson had him beat up so bad with his thugs that his face, his face was nice in every place. I mean the
You
bone.
mean permanently?
Oh, yes, he was a
But
terrible.
he still stayed in business.
Oh, yes, and he was.
Were the people loyal to
twice.
him?
He run twice on a Democrat ticket, on a socialist ticket for governor of West Virginia.
He did.
But they at that time, they called socialism and union the same thing.
Yeah.
It might be the same, because socialism, they believe in live and let live. That's the idea of it. Because I after World War I subscribed, the president of Washington Jefferson College in Washington, Pennsylvania, through him, I subscribed for 5 years, and I studied this stuff here.
What did you subscribe to? Do you remember the paper?
Socialism.
Yeah. Now, were there any journals like that? Any papers that came in?
Yeah,
like
we had.
Was the Appeal to Reason ever read around here? Do you remember any of Debs' stuff?
No.
You don't, none of those books?
They had that communist paper,
What was that?
Daily Worker.
But he ain't,
But that was a Communist Party
Communist
paper.
paper,
When
yeah.
did it come in? In the 20s or in the 30s?
I tell you when, but I know in
There, that was
It
in
is,
here.
they, some of them come in 20-some, some of these people.
Yeah.
Before-
Now, did the communists ever come in with a dual union in the early 30s, the way they did in other places?
No, I don't
No,
know.
What was that called? Did a National Miners Union or something like
Yeah.
that?
We had two
No, I
guys
don't know
working, Rachel come up there, and they tried to preach that stuff, and we kicked them out.
These
there.
were organizers that came in
They
there?
didn't
I don't know
stay
what
here.
no, they wasn't organized.
They
just
didn't
tried to
get a
preach the
footing
gospel.
here
No,
like
no,
they did
no.
in Kentucky
And made them
and
get
some
out
of the
there,
other
that's all
places.
we
But I tell you, they had the most communists back in the 30, and 31, 32, and they didn't have any.
Where did you remember?
A
A lot of the people were hungry and they were.
I'm talking about including
Yeah.
the United States.
Yeah, true.
But now when the organization come back, they meld up.
Yeah, well, I
They
think
were-
that's a very good observation you have, that when the organization came back in, they melted away.
That's right.
But before the organization
Oh,
came
yeah,
in, they must have been very strong.
They had the more membership ever had in the history.
Did they ever have a big unemployed demonstration here?
No.
Like they did
Not-
elsewhere?
Well, no, you can't move here, no.
Because
They
the
used to-
companies would have pounced on them, right, and really jailed them all.
Them 12 long years, I might say, them 12 long years that the opposite party was
You
in
didn't have
power
any
then.
liberty in Marion
They
County.
Huh?
had them on us,
didn't have
force
any
out
liberty.
There was
steps
no
out there.
liberty, right? There was
No,
no democracy, there was no free
They had
speech.
all these meetings on the courthouse steps, and I in the courthouse in Fairmont.
When? When did they have meetings?
During, up to Mr. Roosevelt, like President of the
They
United States.
did have
John
meetings?
Reagan, John Reagan.
They called them
was
communists. They
sheriff.
called it,
Well, that's what I wanna know. Who?
They called it Bolshevik then.
All right, what Bolshevik meetings? They would hold them at the
Communist.
courthouse?
Communist.
Communist?
Now they call communists.
Yeah, communist Bolshevik.
But they,
but-
before they called it Bolshevik.
But they were able to hold meetings then in
They
these
did,
bad
nobody
years.
said a thing about it.
Where, at the courthouse?
I ain't in the courthouse,
No,
on the
no,
steps,
they
every place.
didn't.
Huh?
They go to 60.
He says yes. He says they held
I
them.
never remember.
Where, courthouse?
I remember seeing them
No,
last time.
No, I never
The
heard
same
of
darn
it.
thing, what
Well, you might
they
have,
did.
but I never.
I don't dispute
I
your
got,
word, but
I
don't
seen them
remember.
many times. I
Well,
never,
You
I like
take,
courthouse.
you never had any liberty here until John Reagan, I think that was his name, Democrat got elected sheriff.
but that must have been around Roosevelt's time, when
Yeah,
the 12
yeah,
long
before,
years
yeah,
that Mr.
before.
Hess talking about was over.
Mr.
One
Roosevelt.
term before.
Yeah.
He was a big raw bone man, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was from around Monongah, wasn't he, Charlie?
Yeah.
And then you got liberty. Up until then,
Right.
this was Republican.
This was like an
stronghold.
iron grip on this
And
thing.
they had
That's right.
everything, in other words, it was just, you had 10 gods in the courthouse, that's what you had.
Right. How much of that old Watson hand is still around here, in your opinion? I don't mean on freedom. You got freedom to speak now, but how much is still here in controlling the bank and the rest of it?
They have still got, you know, I've always contend that you can't get that sweet off of crabapple bush. No, you can't get crabapple off crabapple bush.
All right.
They've got some of them around here, Ned Watson and different fellows, they're the same thing. They're just same thing,
They
they're all the
have,
same bush.
well,
You cannot get you.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
don't think that they have the power.
No, they don't have the power, we'll
But
all
they-
agree,
they're
but are they
Charles,
still
they're
here
Charles,
in, like in
They'll
the
show you down
Fairmont
the
Field
road in a
Club? Is
minute.
this the
They'll
same
show you
crowd?
down the
Yeah, but now let's go back in between 10 and 20. Now, less than that. A Watson, they went on the Fairmont Coal Company, and I don't know how many mine he operated. And finally, he merged with Rockefeller, went to
Pittsburgh,
Well, that was later
I
on.
saw, yeah, oh, that came much
That
later.
was later on. Then Rockefeller had about 75% interest in, Watson had about 25. So when this trouble come in a 25 began, and they went under the receivership. And that's the time Watson was dealt out. Rockefeller got
Then
everything.
the other again.
Now, those were Rockefeller interests in these local coal companies that was in the union busting, right?
That's
Right,
right.
that was
And they're still-
Rockefeller
And
interests.
they're still.
And,
And I'll tell you another thing they did then too, when Watson got the Rockefeller interest in, they sold stock. They sold stock to individual people. Some of these farmers by $1,000, $2,000, and lost their money in it.
They had a foreman up there back in that 30. And I think he had about $20-some thousand share in it. He lost every penny of it and finally jumped in the well.
Yeah. What's
Well,
his name?
I couldn't tell, he was a state, he was a
I know
state.
two fellows that
I know
owned
what his
Westers
name is.
that had all kind of money, lived up there on East Run, and go toward Mango.
Right, now let me go back to when you started in the mines. What were the tools you used?
Well,
at the
we
face.
used
Yeah.
a shovel, pick, an axe.
Now, who owned the tools?
We do.
All right.
And drill, we have got to be.
How much were your tools worth at the cost
Oh,
then
I
to you?
expect they were around $20
All right.
altogether.
$20. What about the other tools? Is that about right for what when you went to work it?
I didn't buy no tools, because I was
You were on top?
on the motors.
Okay. No, you were a snapper. You were on the cars. How about in Alabama, 1915?
Well, I was chalker. I didn't, he finished the pick and shovel.
Now, that might have been a black man, right? That would that be, were there black men as well as white that were allowed to be contract miners?
Yeah, that was black.
So they would have, he would be a little bit like a foreman in the sense he was a big man. He
Yeah.
could hire 15, 20 men. Did that contract system ever come in here?
Not
Not at that period. See, it's an English system. They had it in England, you know.
Not my time.
And some of those buddy men in England, you see, they used to own the ale houses, so the company would set them up outside. You see, it was like a little bit of a
Made it up.
racket. See, he went underground with them, but he made the money, and the men didn't make so well. That continued until when I was in the Alabama mines in 1940 and 41. They were still
Still had
contract miners. They
Sure.
were.
Did you work in
Yeah.
Alabama mines?
Edgewater,
Huh?
was you around Edgewater?
Edgewater, yeah. I'll name you some people at Edgewater, and I was in the iron ore, in the red ore, you know,
Oh, yeah, that's.
up at
the way.
Bessemer,
Yeah, no,
on
no.
Red Mountain.
Did you work in the mines?
Huh?
Did you work in the
No, I worked for Mr. Lewis Early. I went to work in industry when I was 18, and then got a job organizing very young, so that this is all very interesting to me because I know a great many of the districts of the UMW, so this history is very interesting. But then I also know the iron miners, and then 10 days ago the steel workers asked me to go up to the Minnesota Iron Range where their people are in trouble on their health insurance, and they're being robbed on it, so that they can figure out whether they can get clinics, you know, and things like that, because the doctors own the clinics there. So they feel like, hell, they're being overcharged, and the insurance is robbing them, and they can't even walk into the buildings. See, the doctors work about 2 hours a day and are taking home about $150,000 apiece. So they say, what the hell? They're the only doctors we got, and we're being robbed to death. And there's no end to it. So those are miners in the Iron Range that used to be underground. Now they're open pit. See?
They're just vice versa of what Jesse James was.
Yeah, that's
They
right.
call
Yeah.
the rich give the poor.
Well, and some of these people are coming full circle. Like the mine workers have got clinics like this, but the rest of the workers don't have it, so they have to come learn from the mine workers.
Yeah.
Yet in the newspaper, they're tearing up Tony Boyle and they're tearing up the UMW, but they don't tell that they've done some pioneering things. See, they have to come around to learn how you control medical costs or something.
Let's see, you were speaking about
Yeah.
for here, season.
Yeah, I see.
Back in the 20, we a lot of time criticized John Alous, but now end of it, they come out, he was tell the truth. And no organization had any vacation and vacation pay till John Al was established. And then other industry patterned after him, but still I don't believe any organization in the United States have a better system medical care like the United States.
No, I agree with you on that. I agree with you. I don't know the answer on autonomy. In other words, he may have been right all the way through that autonomy would have destroyed the union. You follow me?
Well,
He saw it happen.
Oh.
At the same time, we're moving into a period now where I worry like hell, like probably the guys in Washington do. What's going to happen with these young kids who are not going to, Fats may disagree, but they're not going to put up with it like you guys did. They never went through
No,
what you
yeah.
did.
Well,
And we don't have the
tell you
answer
that.
yet. You found
Well,
what's going to bust loose when
I'll
these...
tell you what,
It's only-
They just tell you
they'll
that.
find out this,
You-
I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
If it hadn't have been for this Medicare, you know where I'd have been? I would probably been buried 10 years ago.
Well, the whole medical program, everything about it.
No, I mean, I'd have been dead.
Yeah.
You know what? I hope and pray, I don't
Yeah.
care, if, just so they say, Medicare business,
Mm-hmm.
if I wouldn't get the pension. I need the pension too, but if they just keep
You
the
don't mean
Medicare.
the federal medical, you mean the whole medical care
I
program.
mean,
Yeah,
what we
right.
have,
You
what we
haven't
have,
done
you
that.
know.
But these young guys, Fats will
Favorite
tell you, they come in this goddamn clinic, they say, tear up the whole fucking thing, give me a Blue Cross card. That poor son of a bitch don't know what would happen to him.
Well,
With 3 children
you
on
know,
a
the
Blue
Hungarians-
Cross,
They
you
don't,
know? They don't understand.
No.
He'd get his,
If you tell
he
them-
could go pick a doctor down the street, you know what I mean, who may not be on the list. But by God, when his 3 children need immunizations, they wouldn't get them. When they, when they need shots, when they need to see a doctor, they wouldn't see him. The office visits, he'd have to pay
These same
cash.
people
They
that
don't
do-
understand that.
Now,
cash.
now let me tell you this. That little shack I bought in 23, I made it under union.
The what? Say that.
Under the, I see that the little shack what I bought 1923.
Yeah.
I made it under the union.
How much did you pay for that little house?
$4,000.
Is it the one you're still in?
Yeah.
I visited you there once many years ago.
Yeah.
But what's it worth today?
Well, I
Inflation.
don't know.
Guess.
Well,
Charlie,
that's
how much
probably
time?
about 15,000.
Okay. You've
Then-
fixed it up a lot, huh?
Yeah, we got funnels and so and so. Then they almost I lost it during that strike. But let me tell you something, I'm never sorry. I sacrificed it down.
How many times were you arrested? You named once. How many other? You weren't a virgin. You didn't lose it just once. How many times did you get arrested?
Well,
2 times.
No,
Huh?
3 times.
3 times, what did you do?
Did they turn you
one-
loose
one-
fast?
one
Did the
time.
union?
Huh?
Did the union in those years appear for you right away?
Oh, yeah.
Did they?
Well, not-
Did you
not-
ever get
not
sentenced?
1915, no.
No. What happened in 15?
well, he went.
Well,
What they do to you? Tell me.
served, gave me 2 years to serve my
You
time and
served
come
2
on.
Did you serve 2 years?
Yes, I
Yes.
did.
What was the charge? Assault?
Yeah.
I took it
I'll
in.
tell- I'll tell
I
you,
took the
they
damn
never-
blackjack
Damn,
off
they
the
could put
sheriff.
you-
Oh, wait, let me hear him. Go ahead. Come
I
on.
took the damn blackjack off the sheriff.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I got to
Yeah,
do.
but the guys who got life were accused of planning to murder him or something?
Well, they.
Well, he died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Hey,
What got the bunch of you so mad at him? Did he hit one of your men? What got him to where he got killed?
really what happened, the sheriff, when he see war was difficult, he said, let that man, we're not gonna arrest nobody. And this fella got killed. He said, he's gonna take 100 honk himself. That blowed it up.
Oh, he was really aggravating the
And
man.
he did. He said, I'm gonna take 100 honky myself.
you did.
Yeah.
That's too much territory.
Oh,
Now,
Cost him.
let me finish my story at the beginning. Now, when the union come back, I had a children just like the steps. And of course now I fought and fight. And I sent 5 in college.
5 went to college.
Yeah, 1 flunked out. The
One
old-
what?
1 flunked out.
Yeah.
The oldest one.
He was dumb, wasn't he?
No, it was dumb, but I think I blame myself because we don't have much money and we don't support him or we should. So today I don't have to worry to how what I'm gonna eat because I'll tell you about that 35 cents. Now I don't have to worry 35 cents because I got $380 coming in every month. And I think I got the reward for that suffering and sacrificing what I put up. That's
30 more years?
Yeah.
You got 30 more
And,
years yet?
I feel the same way. Just
All
so-
right, that's a real interesting story. I think that, you know,
But you
gives our
gotta-
folks.
Does anybody can tell me a difference?
Hey, how do you
Notice to tell
explain, you know a lot of the miners that came up with you. Has the average miner around Fairmont been able to send his kids to school,
Oh, yeah.
college?
If they
Well, if
go.
a man,
Is it because Fairmont State that made it easier, you think, or would they have
You know,
done it anyway?
I contribute this. I've known Charlie 10 years older than I. I've known Charlie a long time. Charlie sacrificed a lot. He wanted to educate his kids. He just done like I did. He and my dad educated 3. He wanted to educate his kids, and he strived to do it. I did the same thing. I got a boy. He's got girls
Yeah, give me
make
that
money.
If you wanna play with me.
Makes I don't know how much money they make, but they're making damn sight more than he'll ever make or I'll ever make. He's got
Let
son-in-laws.
me just comment and you all comment on it, okay? Here are 4 guys who spent the main years of their adult life in the mine.
Yep.
Yet essentially, I'm not saying you're middle class, but essentially you've raised children who have entered the middle class. I'm not meaning that as a general rule, but they've been capable of entering it, okay?
Yeah.
All right. This tells us something about the genius of our country, you know, the difference with Europe where people become in the working class, they can never get out of it, so they, you know, all over Europe, whether it's France or Italy or behind the Iron Curtain, they become socialists and communists. That's what the workers are. In this country, the intellectuals are more like that. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's an idea in their minds, whereas over there the workers are. Our workers, you see, don't move into class lines. Over there in England even, you raised a worker by the age of 15, you got to decide whether you're going to take academic subjects or become a journeyman. See, now a working class kid, that's a pretty hard decision. Our kids go to high school, see what I mean? And you become a journeyman.
That didn't happen in this country until after 1933. Before that,
I agree with you.
Under the situation that they didn't want a labor man's son or daughter
You're right.
to go to even
No,
high
didn't
school.
they keep,
They didn't
didn't
want
they
to go to high
discriminate even against your kids,
Oh,
or was
yeah,
it just
yeah.
the poverty?
Yeah.
Were you
I believe-
discriminated
I-
against in high school?
Couldn't get school for my sisters. Couldn't get school to teach.
How do you
I
know?
had to go.
Tell me what you mean.
I had to go and walk. I had to go and walk and talk to members of the board, plead with them.
Why was that?
Why? Because we were Hungarians. That's
Now,
the reason.
when was that, Mr. Hornyak?
That was, Helen's been teaching 39 years. That's
But
30
take 40 off of, that's enough, you know, we're back in
That's-
1930, you mean it was trouble
I
for a
did.
Hungarian girl to go to
No
high school?
nationality, not only that, a Catholic couldn't. She was
What-
Catholic.
Tell me
descent.
where this was, where
Well,
couldn't
because
she
they had
enter the high
Klan
school?
here.
Huh?
They had the Klan here. Listen, we
Right.
Hey,
said,
tell me about the Klan. Now,
you
you
know
haven't
what,
mentioned
we
it.
had the Klan here, and the Klan, they were here to the extent it wasn't even funny.
Did you know who was in the
crosses.
Klan,
Oh,
or
I
did you
knew a
just
lot of them.
suspect it?
Yes, I knew a
Oh,
lot of
yeah,
them.
they-
Who do you think was in the Klan? Name some of the names. The Watsons didn't have to be in the Klan, they owned the
It
damn
was the
thing.
kind that, like but they were so-called 100% American.
I got you.
Nancy knows that, isn't that right? That's what they
Yeah,
called
I know.
themselves.
They-
They
I-
called
I know
themselves
two
100%
And
American.
I'll tell you, these two
And
fellows
they
I know
had
would
the,
do
we
more
had
for
the
their
Klan.
labor
I'm going to
pass
cite
than
you a
you've
little
ever seen in
story.
life.
I want you to.
When Charlie moved to
Yeah.
farming,
He'd do
Wait a
more
minute
for
now.
labor pass people than I've ever seen in my life.
What were the two names, get them in? that
Will
you-
Beach used to have a store in farming. Now, he.
Will who?
Beach.
Was a Klansman, yeah.
Yes,
Who else?
but he'd do more for the labor class people than any man ever seen in my life. Outside of Yates and I.
there was Charlie, when he moved to Farmington.
Yeah.
The only thing that makes me mad, the Ku Klux burned him 2 crosses the first night.
When? When
And
was that?
When he moved in Farmington,
I
they
don't
only
know
burnt,
this.
they only burnt one for
When
us.
did you move? Hold a minute. When did you move to Farmington?
1923, April 18th.
You bought your house then?
Yeah.
They didn't want you to buy that house?
Well,
What was it
I
about?
don't know.
Didn't want any
Really,
foreigners there.
really, I think they resent me, yeah.
What hill were you on, or what section?
Ireland edition.
All right.
What?
Same
Ireland
thing it is
edition.
now, use up there,
What do they call it?
Ireland
Ireland,
edition.
Ireland edition of Farmington. You
No.
think you were the first Hungarian in there, or
On
what?
that side, yeah.
So they burned a cross
Two
when?
of them.
Well,
Yeah.
let's begin to start the beginning.
Yeah.
I had the old gentleman, my neighbor, and when this Ku Klux system in 1922, when the strike was over, no, 1921,
Mhm.
I got the job, I don't maybe because number 9 was shut down. So I come across the hill. I had an old Ford, and here's a fella was swinging with the lantern, and hell, he had a hood on him.
Had a what?
Had a hood.
Hood.
A white hood
A
or
white hood, yeah.
in the road, huh?
On the road, they signaled me to go ahead. That's the first time I see my life the Ku Klux Klan.
That was 1921
Only one.
on the road
Right,
between Ida May and
and Female.
Did you recognize him?
Well, it was a night. I would work afternoon shift.
What was it?
So
Brooks Davis?
Hey,
What he was after?
I talking to my
That's what
neighbor
he was after.
about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I said, Mr. Lott,
What was his name?
Mr. Lott,
Law,
Law.
L-A-U-G-H.
Mm-hmm.
and talked to him. I said, Mr. Lott, what this people wear that hood? Oh, he said they're nice people. Well, I study a little bit. I say, I don't know, I read a little something about the South, where hang the color fella up and beat it up. And I told him, I'm a peaceful man. I don't want to hurt anybody. But anybody come in my porch, cover his face, he not going to out. He going to carry it out. So I don't know that.
You don't know if he delivered the message. Okay, I got you.
I don't know.
All right. Now, when did they burn the cross? It's a wonderful
That
story.
was probably about back in 1925, and it's.
That's the first cross they burned?
When the strike was started, I made.
All right. Now, then they burned a cross on your yard?
No.
Back of the
He come
house?
in, he never get
On
up.
the hill.
What?
If he come in my yard.
No,
burn
where
it
did he go? Up
up
on the hill
Up
behind
on
it?
the hill, yeah.
One
So
in the
you
back,
never
one
saw
in the
who
front.
did it
No.
when
You
it was burning when you first saw it?
No.
When did they burn the second one?
All right, that's the same.
A
year.
week, two,
Maybe or something.
few months. During the strike, and you were a strike leader?
I was a leader. I was one of them.
You were one of the leaders.
I
They
never
were all
was-
secret.
I
huh?
never was a leader, but I was.
You met in the woods and it was all secret, or did you have a union
Well, I
hall?
don't know about it. I don't
Okay.
pay attention.
They
You didn't
burned
pay
ours the
attention
first
to
night.
it. It didn't worry you or
I
scare
know
you.
you don't need-
Do you know of other crosses they burned?
Ours?
Oh, hell.
Where was yours?
Yeah, well, right, the first night we moved.
Where?
First day, right on my hill. I own the hill now.
Now you moved from where to where?
Number 9 to Farmington.
Yeah.
They burned it up, they called the old orchard.
They call that the old orchard?
The old orchard.
Not
yes.
Ireland edition.
Right above the house.
Yeah.
And I always kid Charlie, you know, I tell him down at the hill, he raided 2 crosses and the Hornyaks only
Hey,
raided 1.
Julius, I'll bet you $1, I know it's the first time I ever heard it, but I'll bet you a dollar to a penny. I can tell you exactly what it was done for. That one above your house was for Brooks Davis, and the one above his house, his next door neighbor, that woman above his house right now.
Well, I don't care.
Because she was teaching
You know
What was the reason she was running around?
Other men, yeah.
Oh.
That we
Who
did-
was Brooks Davis?
Brooks-
What was Brooks Davis?
Brooks Davis, he was married to a man's sister, Waller Hughes,
Yeah.
and they burnt that darn thing up there to let him know he'd be next.
You know, you just remember.
And Jim
right.
Wise, Jim Wise.
Aside from you two now, Let me just track it out a few ways. Do you know of any other crosses burned in front of Hungarian people's homes?
Well, I know where the front Hungarian, my God, they burned them all over Ireland and Carolina.
Where were they burning in Ida, Maine, Carolina? Did you ever see any, or do you hear
Oh,
about it?
yeah, we heard that.
Yeah, well, you hear about it.
But were they Union men, or were they other issues?
Well, I
You
don't
both
know.
Union men,
I
too.
couldn't answer that question. but
Yeah.
I
Who do you
don't-
think were the Klan leaders in this area? Was there any word out?
Well, I knew few of the Klan. I don't know who the leaders were, but you could pick them out. You knew who they were because, see, they'd go on a streetcar. We lived in West Farmington, and we caught on, and us boys, young men, would watch. You'd see them all go with the little bundle to the meeting. You know, they'd carry their bundles.
Oh, they had to carry their sheets, you mean?
Yeah,
to me. Where would they meet? Where were they going?
Mannington.
Mannington
Not one
was
of my
it?
neighbors, Booth
Was
County.
Mannington a strong point for the Klan
Oh, yeah.
in the 20s? What else was a strong point?
Well, Fairmont had a lot of
Yeah.
them. See, they killed one man here at Watson,
Who was that they killed? you
and
know?
they even sent a preacher to penitentiary. I don't know who that was. Out hit the
What was
5 Mile House where
Yeah.
the what's called is now, the mall.
Yeah.
They killed,
I think it originated down in Alabama. Or
Yeah, but what went on at 5 Mile House?
Did
they
have
just
down
picked
there?
him up and,
Never lost a
stranger?
and just beat him to death. And they locked up the preacher, Jones, from Worthington, and Jimmy Cone's brother-in-law, he was in on it. Remember, it was
Clyde
Hughes, and I don't know how many more.
But at that time, I know at Woolridge, it was, you know, that's.
Oh, they were all belong, hell for, Lee Toothman belonged because of hell. I talked to Lee Toothman myself. He said I didn't know what the score was. He quit. And Fuzzy Sheets and all those fellas, like the name,
I think this people,
they didn't know what
they
it was.
mislead these people.
Yeah. Now, did the Negro people face any problems that you're aware of from the Klan in the 20s?
No, in Carolina, I was on in Carolina in 25. We was with no problem at all. When I was in Pennsylvania, I never saw any crosses when I come
Had you
here.
ever seen it here when you got here? Is this the first ones you've seen?
Remember when they
No,
shot
I saw plenty of them when I come.
Where? In Alabama?
You're
Yeah.
talking
But
about
not-
Mr. Veach.
None here.
You know, you ever know Pat Ryan?
I would
No,
like.
I've never seen a cross.
He's the only man I ever seen what he called.
Did you see any at Carolina and Ida Mae? Were they burning them when you
No, I
got there?
didn't see them, but they tell me they were there before I got
Before
there.
you got there?
He went to
Okay,
Mr.
yeah.
Haggard's
Well, I
house
haven't seen any
for
cross.
get the trust closed, and he wouldn't trust him at all, and he said, he wouldn't have him seen,
Okay.
seen,
Mr.
Mr.
Alex,
Veach
go
said,
ahead,
"Sure,
I'll-
I'll let you close."
I like
He told me, he
against,
said,
when this Ku Klux Klan business happened. But now, I lived there at 47 years now, or 48. And I never had any trouble with any of my neighbors. I got a wonderful neighborhood.
Well, you were the mayor, weren't you, of Farmington?
Yes.
I know, so you never,
I was his campaign manager 2 times in Lexington, and he never paid me a darn, never even shut
I
me
don't
down.
doubt
I
that.
don't think manager law.
I think those
He's
people
my
back then, they
campaign
just
manager, and I lost.
What'd you run for?
House of Delegates.
And he was your campaign
And I
manager?
lost.
Okay, if I got everybody brought along their campaign managers here, who'd you bring?
I run for mayor and got beat.
Did you all ever
I
run for
was on the
public
council
office?
twice.
Besides mayor? What council were you on? Farmington?
Farmington.
Did you ever?
He was on
No,
the
sir,
council.
no, sir,
Who were the most liberal people in the state? Did you ever elect any good state delegates? Like the young Manchin when he first
Well,
ran?
I tell you,
Was he?
I did like young Manchin in the beginning.
Jamie.
A.J. Althoff, the greatest man we ever had in
Who?
America.
Althoff.
Oh, yeah.
Heyman Althoff.
I
Most
like
liberal and
Jimmy when he
and
was
man
in
would
there.
fight for labor, but these other
It was
fellows.
pretty good.
Who?
Young Manchin.
Yeah.
But now,
Jimmy
Is it?
He's-
Yeah. He's changed
He's a
now.
different man.
Too many.
He's successful. Let me ask this
He's a
other
different
question.
man.
Yeah.
Were the Manchins, as business people, did they have a reputation for helping the miners because they'd lived in the barracks and
Yeah.
raised
Yeah.
them?
Right.
So people remain loyal even to this
Right.
day?
That was the
Name
old
some
man.
politicians or businessmen. What's an example? Who else do you remember from the barracks days besides
mean that were
old man
loyal?
Manchin?
Business.
Were there any people that went into politics later or
Well,
they did other things that
I
you
don't
feel?
think I know
Alltop, Hammond Alltop, I think was one of the best House of Delegates. Parker.
Is Alltop still around?
H.A. Hall.
Is he still alive?
He's still alive.
He lives in Mannington?
No, he lives in Fairmont
Alltop.
somewhere.
How, what age is he?
Oh,
He's over in New York. He's right.
What did he know about? Was he a miner or what?
He was the railroader.
Railroad.
And he was loyal to in
Oh,
these
yeah,
days?
he used to belong to Marion County Trade
You know
Favor
him?
Council.
What's his
Hammond
first
Alltop.
name?
Hammond Alltop.
He'd be an old man, huh? He might be good with a few other miners someday, huh? Bring along to show maybe the railroad men helped them in their worst
But
days.
he,
I think.
United Mine
Alltop
helped
was
the
a good man.
railroads, they know it too. If it hadn't been for United Mine, and the railroad, we fought their troubles for them. That's
Right.
They'll tell you so too.
Okay.
Well, I tell you, he was a good.
Well, I gather there are no regrets around this table. You all had a good, full life.
The
and
only
you-
thing, if these
Stayed with
campaign
the Indians.
managers,
I'm glad to
John,
be here.
if these campaign managers did shake our hand and pay us, it'd be all right, wouldn't it?
Yeah, like.
Yeah, he
But they
wants
never
his
did.
pay yet. Except you elected him. He didn't elect
I've
you.
always,
You know,
in fact, I'm getting in now on the ground floor with it.
Are you? How low are you getting with the ground floor?
I once heard a man make a speech when I was in Cleveland, taxi cab strike, and he ended up his speech this way. And I'll never forget that. It's wonderful. He says, workers of the world unite. He was an organizer. You have nothing to lose but your brains, and by God, you don't have any. And I think that's a damn good saying.
You know,
I'll never forget that as long as I live.
That was where, in Cleveland, or where did you meet
It
him?
was in
I
Cleveland.
heard this here, and I think it was the greatest man ever tried to lead organized labor, ever lived. He got killed in an airplane wreck. Where's Walter Rooster? I
Yeah.
heard him say one time, he said,
Yeah.
if
Where did you hear him? Where did you hear
I
Walter?
heard him one time in Cleveland, and he said that if they pay the labor man what they're supposed to pay him, that's what I
That's right.
believe in. And they wouldn't have to have wars to have